9 in this particular phase of Patanjali Yoga Sutra. Patanjali is discussing about differentiating chitta from the atma, from the purusha, from the self, because that was the time when there was an argument that was going on between the scholars, that chitta itself is the self. If chitta becomes calm and serene, if there is chitta vritti nirodha, then chitta alone becomes the true self, that is the purusha. Patanjali wants to dispute that theory, and he wants to say that chitta alone is not sufficient. There is another medium which chitta is reflecting. You understand? So here Patanjali says, na tat swabhasam drishyatvat. That mind is not self-illuminating, as it is an object of knowledge or perception by the pure consciousness. He says, chitta is not self-illuminating. See, there is one property in Prakriti. Prakriti moves because there is a Purusha behind. For anything to move, what is the most essential requirement? For anything to move from one place to another, what do you need? Prana, energy. There is even a subtler requirement than that. For example, your car moves on the road. If the car has energy, it has prana, petrol, and you lift the car above the ground, it will rotate at the same place. Will it move? So energy is not sufficient. You require something else. What is that? It requires an unmoving base. Otherwise, you can't. Even if you have to fly, the sky should not fly with the fly. The sky should remain stable. So, Patanjali says that Prakriti moves, but it requires an unmoving Purusha. And there is another quality which, see, movement is something which Prakriti has, Purusha does not have. Can you tell me one quality which Purusha has but Prakriti does not have? I told you one quality which Prakriti has, Purusha does not have. Purusha does not move. Because Purusha is omnipresent. Where will it move? Prakriti moves. Prakriti comes out of Purusha, dissolves in it. All that Prakriti does. Can you tell me one quality which Purusha has but Prakriti does not have? What do you mean by consciousness? How to move, in which direction to move? Self-awareness. Awareness of oneself, that I exist, is the quality of Purusha. The more any entity shows this quality, the more that entity is reflecting Purusha. Among us also, we are all combination of Purusha and Prakriti. We both have movement also. We move. Is there a movement in us? Movement है कि नहीं है? What moves within us? Mind moves, breath moves, body moves, thought moves, decision moves. Decision बदल जाता ना? बदल जाता. Moves. जो मूव होता है वो प्रकृति है. But there is another component in us, that is self-awareness. डू यू रिमेम्बर, जब आप 5 साल के थे, एलकेजी जाते थे, कुछ याद है? फर्स्ट स्टैंडर्ड, स्कूल डेज, फोर्थ स्टैंडर्ड, याद है? क्यों याद है? That memory has moved. Those moments have moved. But there was one Purusha there, that observer. That fellow is still the same. That is why you remember. When you were in fourth, in your LKG, now that Purusha is same, unmoving, unchanging, but self-aware. So the more self-awareness you show, the more you reflect Purusha. The more movement you show, the more you reflect Prakriti. जो जल्दी जल्दी चेंज होते रहते हैं ना, फटाफट फटाफट, अरे यार ये सुबह कुछ बोलता है, शाम को कुछ बोलता है, रात को कुछ बोलता है, उसका प्रकृति ज्यादा हो गया, इनडिसाइसिवनेस आ जाता है, ये करे या वो करे, ऑल दोस, द मोर द मूवमेंट, बैठे बैठे पैर हिलाते रहते हैं, हैं? बैठ नहीं सकता, वो सीधा नहीं बैठ सकता, पैर हिलाएगा। क्यों हिलाएगा? प्रकृति ज्यादा है, पुरुष कम है उसमें। नहीं तो माइंड, द मोर द मूवमेंट, मोर द प्रकृति, मोर द सेल्फ अवेयरनेस, मोर द पुरुष। सी प्रकृति even cannot know itself that it exists. A body lying down without consciousness doesn't even know that it is lying down. In the same way, in plant and animal kingdom, that self-awareness domain is lacking. Even a small child, that self-awareness is less. उसको सुबह चाइल्ड को झापड़ मारो तो शाम को फिर से आके वो हंस के बात करता है, उसको सुबह का भूल जाता है, उसको सेल्फ अवेयरनेस उतना नहीं है। हमको एक बार कुछ बोल दिया तो 10 साल बाद भी उसका मुंह नहीं देखेंगे। सो सेल्फ अवेयरनेस, ये चेहरा इधर करो यार। सो द Patanjali says, na tat swabhasam drishyatvat. The chitta is not self-illuminating. It means chitta does not have the quality of knowing itself that it exists. Chitta is as material as the physical body, dead. Chitta without Patanjali wants to, dispute that chain of thought which says that there is no Purusha, Chitta itself is Purusha. When Chitta has no vritti. Patanjali says no, Chitta is matter, it belongs to Prakriti, Purusha is separate. And when its function is done, Chitta also will dissolve. Again he says, Ek samaye chobhayan vadharanam. So, neither can both the mind and the illuminating process be cognized simultaneously. He says, the quality of chitta is such that it can know of the prakriti. Like, see, many people are confused about what chitta is. Chitta is a mirror. Chitta is a transparent membrane which resides between the Purusha and the Buddhi. Okay. Now that chitta can either reflect the senses, the whole Prakriti, whatever senses perceive, chitta can reflect that. If chitta is reflecting that, chitta will be in one or the other vritti. Either chitta will be in pramana. See, I am seeing you, my chitta is reflecting all of you. My chitta vritti is pramana vritti. Now, while talking to you, I think, oh, after this I have a meeting. So what I have done now? From pramana vritti, I have shifted down to vikalpa, because I am thinking about something which is not there. Or I just see, okay, in the morning, or yesterday night, I couldn't sleep properly. Smriti vritti has come. Hmm? Or while talking to you itself, I think, I don't know, this fellow is sleeping or what. So here, viparyaya vritti is coming. I really don't know, but my mind is projecting itself and continuously the chitta is in a state of agitation. Chitta is either projecting something that is going on around, or it is perceiving things as it is, or going in the past, or I can simply doze off. So my chitta is always in a state of some or the other vritti. It is fluctuating in one or the other vritti. Even in one vritti, it is not staying with stability. It goes in nidra vritti and remains stable during that time. But otherwise, in all other vrittis, chitta is still fluctuating. You understand? In all these fluctuations, there comes some moments where chitta is not fluctuating. And chitta is not reflecting the prakriti also. Chitta is just still, and the purusha within gets a chance to reflect on the chitta. When does that happen? When chitta asks, who am I? Now there is an introversion. Now when that who am I question is asked, self-awareness comes. Now the self-awareness is the quality of purusha. Why human being is so great? Because out of all the species there, human beings show maximum self-awareness. चिंपांजी वगैरह दिखाते थोड़ा बहुत, उतना नहीं दिखता. फिर धीरे धीरे प्लांट किंगडम में और कम हो जाता है. सेल्फ अवेयरनेस वी शो मैक्सिमम. Then among the human beings also, why Gautama the Buddha, yogis are great? Because even among humans, they show maximum self-awareness. So how is their chitta there? Their chitta is reflecting 10% of the transactions that are going on with Prakriti, but 90% of the time it is just self-aware. उनके अंदर एक दिया जल रहा होता है. When they are sitting, they know that they are sitting. When they are listening, they know that they are listening. When they are talking, they know that they are talking. We get lost. When we talk, we talk. Nobody within us knows that we are talking. Correct? This mindfulness. That is why mindfulness को इतना value देता है. Mindfulness is the quality of Purusha. Prakriti cannot be mindful. That is what Patanjali wants to say. So mind at the same time cannot perceive itself and the object of perception. This is what Patanjali is telling in this sutra. That mind at the same time, either mind will perceive the object of perception or it will perceive itself. It cannot do both the things simultaneously. Neither can both the mind and the illuminating process be cognized simultaneously. You understand? But Purusha can do that. Chitta cannot do that. Either Chitta will get lost in the object, or Chitta will know or reflect Purusha or know that it is there. You understand? एक समय, हाँ, Buddhi is Prakriti. Chitta is also Prakriti.
Does it have existence of its own? Like as you told that when chitta's work is done, it dissolves on its own, right? So sometimes during the same time the purusha will reflect, and then the other time it is associated with prakriti. So this is like just a mediator, but it doesn't have any existence.
It has existence, no? That membrane exists. And it is like Patanjali says, its nature is like a money, sphatic money. That is the example he gives. Very transparent pearl. If you keep it on white object, it becomes white. Keep it on red, it becomes red. But that pearl exists. it is a substance coming from very subtle nature of Prakriti only, probably coming from Akasha Tattva. But it is physically there. Physically, in the sense, mind is also there. In a very subtle sense, it exists as a part of Prakriti. So, yes, chitta is there. In the same way as there is magnetic field, as there is electric field, in the same way there is a chitta field. Very subtle, but it is there, and it is made up of very, very subtle aspect of gunas only. Because in the Prakriti, from gross to very subtle, nothing else. Sattva, Rajas and Tamas gunas. So, chitta you can say is a very Shuddha Sattvic guna. Very Shuddha Sattvic guna makes chitta. Like water. Chitta is very close to water. Water also has ripples. Water can also become very calm. Water can also reflect. Correct? So, chitta is in a way very subtle aspect, a flowing water. Now, this is again Patanjali. Why Patanjali is telling all these sutras? Patanjali wants to tell us that Purusha is beyond chitta. Then in the third sutra, he says, Chittantar drishye buddhi rati aprasanga smriti sankarascha. Then people, they debate during those time. People used to debate. People would say, no, I would say there is no Purusha. In fact, there is a superficial chitta and there is a deeper chitta. And the deeper chitta is actually the knower of the superficial chitta. That kind of argument can come in to say, Purush nahi hai. Chitta itself is everything. And this chitta is a subtler chitta, which is aware of the grosser functioning of the mind, buddhi, and everything. You can call them as grosser chitta. Patanjali says, no, this theory will not work. Because you said that it cannot cognize and reflect at the same time. So there is a reflector, then behind that there is a cognizer. You understand, no? Now this chitta, which is cognizing, it is becoming a reflector of the chitta before it. So it will require another cognizer behind. You understand? So like that Patanjali says, ये तो infinity तक mirror के पीछे mirror के पीछे mirror खत्म ही नहीं होगा. So it will create a confusion in memory. This theory doesn't work. Because if you are saying that chitta is a reflecting medium, okay, my chitta reflects him. He's sitting here. Then the argumenter is telling that this chitta which is reflecting is known by another chitta behind it. फिर वो बोल रहा है कि ठीक है, तो ये वाला चित्ता फिर पीछे वाले चित्ता पे रिफ्लेक्ट हो जाएगा, तो फिर उसको नोन के लिए पीछे और एक चित्ता चाहिए, फिर कॉग्नाइजर चाहिए. So like that, Patanjali says, if one mind were illumined by another mind, then there would be an endless absurd progression of cognitions, which doesn't make sense. कोई doubt?
जितना सिंपली हम इन चीजों को समझ रहे हैं लाइक कनेक्टेडली, क्या ब्रेन में उस तरह से ये हो रहे हैं, लाइक हाउ इज इट मैकेनिज्म उस तरह से, लाइक वी आर सिंपली अंडरस्टैंडिंग लाइक दिस इज दैट, सो दिस इज हैपनिंग, but are these happening in the same interaction or that process is complex?
So basically, if you look at modern neuroscience also, we all know that the self, what we understand as self from the modern neuroscience perspective, is activation of the cortical midline structures. Cortex में जो midline के structure होते हैं उसका activation होता है. But that self gets activated when one is thinking about oneself as one is body, or one is thinking, one is thought. If I am body, I am mind, that self gets activated. But here, the phenomena that are happening are so subtle that it is very difficult to catch those subtle aspects from the gross nature of Prakriti. माइंड बहुत ग्रॉस, ब्रेन बहुत ही ग्रॉस चीज हो गया ना इन सब फेनोमेना के सामने. ये सारे फेनोमेना डीप साइकोलॉजिकल फेनोमेना है. You are understanding? So they are all subjective sciences. It is very difficult to prove them objectively in terms of brain activity or neural activity. Understand? And it is quite understandable. The kind of depth that Patanjali is talking about, it can only be felt in your own lab when you sit and meditate. ये आपका subjective experience. ऐसे हमारे पास, it is not Patanjali's limitation, it is our limitation. We do not have such devices that can catch the act. अभी तक हमारे पास ऐसा भी डिवाइस नहीं है जो माइंड को पकड़ पाए. हम सब लोग क्वेश्चनर पे ही जाते हैं ना, सब्जेक्टिव है. तो yeah, this is a challenge, but Patanjali is talking about his own experience when he has meditated, what he has observed. Yeah, when you become very subtle, chitta appears to you as I see this bottle. पर आपको उसके लिए उतना डेप्थ में जाना पड़ेगा ना. You have to become that much still. Stillness आनी पड़ेगी. Gautama the Buddha is another example. He, whatever phenomena he describes, Gautama Buddha also has described similar kind of phenomena. He has also given 8 limbs to reach samadhi. You know? Okay. Now, again, Patanjali wants to, cover all the domains, all the kind of argument that are there, because he wants to prove that Purusha is separate from Chitta. And in Kaivalya Sthiti, that Purusha is what you become one with. So he says, when the unchanging consciousness appears to take on the shape of that finest aspect of the mind field, then the experience of one's own cognition is possible. So, simple, he says that when you are saying that I am aware of myself, that is only possible when you are reflecting Purusha on your Chitta. If you are not reflecting Purusha on your Chitta, you cannot say that I am aware of myself. So now, all of you become aware of yourself. At the same time, look at me. Difficult. Either you can become aware of yourself or you can look at me, because your awareness either can go out through the senses, then your chitta will reflect the prakriti, or your chitta can become aware of yourself. Then your senses, even if your eyes are open, you can't see. You are just aware of yourself. So Patanjali says that in this tadakara patta, it means that the chitta becomes, the Purusha takes the akara of the chitta. Purusha becomes one with the chitta. It is then only that there is swabuddhi samvedanam. I, this is my buddhi, this is my mind, I exist. All that happens because Purusha takes the shape of the chitta. Purusha is reflected on the chitta. When Purusha is reflected on the chitta, then only self-awareness comes. Otherwise, there is no self-awareness. Any doubt? Yes.
Now you become aware of oneself. Then only Purusha will be reflected, right?
No. Chitta doesn't have the ability to become aware of itself because it belongs to Prakriti. Prakriti does not have the ability to become aware of itself, herself. No, nothing in Prakriti can become aware of itself if Purusha is not. If this phone is lying, phone is lying. Phone doesn't know that I am lying. This phone will know that it is lying when Purusha touches it. अभी AI आ गया, रोबो आ गए. So, does AI know that AI exists? नहीं. उसको जितना डेटा देता है उसको रेस्पॉन्ड करता जाता है. उसको खुद को नहीं पता है कि मैं एग्जिस्ट कर रहा हूं. वो सिर्फ डेटा को रेस्पॉन्ड करता है. वो हाय बोला तो हेलो बोलता है. उसके ईगो को हर्ट कर सकते हो क्या एआई के? गाली लिखो उसको दुनिया भर की. कभी ऐसा होगा कि प्रोग्राम से बाहर जाकर के बोले शट अप यू इडियट, ऐसा बोलेगा एआई? प्रोग्राम के बाहर जाके कोई वर्ड डालेगा? कैन यू हर्ट द ईगो ऑफ एआई?
maybe in future they can come, like we are working on it. It's a grok,
still it is a program. तुम कितना भी सेल्फ लर्निंग मॉडल डालो, कोई इनोवेटिव एकदम नया बिना कुछ ना कुछ परम्यूटेशन कॉम्बिनेशन जो अवेलेबल डेटा है उसी से करके डालेगा वो। आप कितना भी कॉम्प्लेक्स बनाओ, एकदम आउट ऑफ द बॉक्स है, एकदम ही जो उसके पास प्रोग्राम ही नहीं है उस तरीके का रिस्पॉन्स नहीं देगा। जो कुछ भी है उसी में घुमा फिरा के वो इट कैन गिव वेरी कॉम्प्लेक्स रिस्पॉन्सेस। आई एग्री, यू अंडरस्टैंड। बट उसका मतलब आप ये नहीं बोल सकते हो कि वो अपने एग्जिस्टेंस के लिए अवेयर हो गया। इन दैट वे, frankly telling you, our I-ness, ahankara, is a self-learning model only. It is also just based on what data we have accumulated in so many past lives. आप भी उसी से respond करते हो। In a way, we are all robots. सेल्फ लर्निंग मॉडल के थ्रू ही तुम्हारा आई भी वैसे ही चल रहा है। But the only thing, I am aware of myself, I am aware of my ego also. ये बात एआई में नहीं आएगी। पूरा ईगो भी आ सकता है, जैसे आप बात कर रहे हो वैसा भी एआई कर देगा, क्योंकि सटल वे में आप उसको सारे प्रोग्राम फीड करते जाओ वो सेल्फ लर्निंग मॉडल में वो आ जाएगा। इन दैट वे यू कैन हर्ट द ईगो ऑफ एआई आल्सो, आई एग्री। बट एआई विल नॉट बिकम सेल्फ अवेयर। उसको ये नहीं पता चलेगा कि मैं हूं, दैट आई एग्जिस्ट एंड दैट आई हैव ए पर्पस, दैट काइंड ऑफ अवेयरनेस, दैट there is a component within me which is unmoving. All of us somewhere know that in spite of all the flux that is going on in our lives, there is one entity within us which does not change. हमको ये पता है, हम उसके बारे में कुछ बोल नहीं सकते। एकदम पीछे, नींद में भी वो सोता नहीं, वो देखता रहता है। कहीं ना कहीं वो एक है, वो हमारे पास, वो एआई के पास नहीं। Does it answer your question?
There is an unlimited chitta is an unlimited Purusha and Prakriti. So sir, the time chitta is dissolving, that time Purusha is reflecting, right? And that time the existence of chitta is no more. That is the time, right, when Purusha is reflecting. मतलब sir आप ये कहना चाह रहे हो कि Purusha is always there to reflect. We only don't understand because of the fluctuations within the chitta or like the
Yeah.
Prakriti, right?
Yeah. See, I think you are talking about the point when kaivalya happens, when गुणानाम प्रतिप्रसवः. What does Patanjali say? पुरुषार्थ शून्यानाम, purpose done. गुणानाम प्रतिप्रसवः. Guna now going back. Then subtlest aspect of the guna is chitta. Correct? So chitta also is going back. Then swarupa pratishtha. The observer now established. भी समझ में आ गया, ये पूरा जो झेल झमाटा था ये मेरा था ही नहीं। आई एम नाइदर द डूअर नॉर एक्सपीरियंसर, ये पूरा प्रकृति का था, मैं फालतू टेंशन ले रहा था। ऐसे बात आ जाती है उसकी। तो वो चित्ता भी पर्पस डन। बट नाउ चित्ता इन ऑल ऑफ अस इज फुलफिलिंग ए पर्पस। द वेरी इंपॉर्टेंट पर्पस चित्ता इज फुलफिलिंग इज दैट दृग और दृश्य शक्ति की एकात्मता कर देता है। अस्मिता जो लाता है वो चित्ता ही लाता है, चित्ता और बुद्धि। So right now for us, our existence, subtlest that we can feel is buddhi. When buddhi is reflected on the chitta. Understand? Patanjali tells this further. So this is one. Then next. Drishta drishyayo uparaktam chittam sarvartham. The chitta which is colored by the seer and the seen has the potential to perceive all the objects. Sarvartham means, see, chitta serves as a very important means, because till you have a body, you to even perceive Purusha, You will require a screen to reflect. अभी मैं आपको कैसे समझाऊं, मतलब if you have to perceive the unperceivable, अगर आपको जो इंद्रियातीत है उसको इंद्रियों के अंदर देखना है, तो आपको एक स्पेशलाइज स्क्रीन चाहिए ना, एक स्पेशलाइज स्पेक्स चाहिए। हाँ, डार्क मैटर है, विदाउट दैट यू कांट परसीव। वो है, हर जगह है, पुरुषा इज ओमनी प्रेजेंट, बट इन योर एक्सपीरियंस दैट पुरुषा विल कम ओनली व्हेन दैट पुरुषा रिफ्लेक्ट्स ऑन योर चित्ता। बराबर? व्हाई? बिकॉज यू आर नॉट देयर ओनली, चित्ता इज देयर, बुद्धि इज देयर, गुणास आर देयर, दैट प्रकृति wants to know purusha. You are purusha only, but you as a prakriti want to know purusha, no? When you as a prakriti want to know purusha, you require a last medium of prakriti which is closest to purusha to reflect the purusha. Correct? If you become purusha, you know purusha, but you being prakriti want to know purusha. That's why you require chitta. So in that sense, chitta becomes sarvartham. It means that the cognizance of the whole world that you want to know is there, reflected on the chitta. Chitta can also reflect the purusha as it is when chitta is cleansed. चित्ता को वाटर के जैसे भी ना बोलने से ना, पतंजलि उसको एक ट्रांसपेरेंट क्लोथ के जैसा बोलते। ट्रांसपेरेंट क्लोथ से भी ज्यादा मैं क्या बोलूंगा मालूम है? नाउ आपका, आप तो इंजीनियर है, एआई फील्ड में सिलिकॉन के ऐसे ट्रांसपेरेंट स्क्रीन आया है, ऐसा जेली जैसा रहता है, ठीक है? ऐसा देखेगा तो आपको लगेगा बस ट्रांसपेरेंट कुछ स्क्रीन है, लेकिन उसके अंदर इतने सारे नेटवर्क्स रहते हैं, पूरा का पूरा सीपीयू, पूरा का पूरा सुपर कंप्यूटर उस सिलिकॉन के स्क्रीन के अंदर होता है, लेकिन वो ट्रांसपेरेंट दिखता है। समझ में आया ना? अभी उसके ऊपर ही फाइट चल रही है, जो अपने को ये चाहिए, कौन से एलिमेंट्स है, ग्रे एलिमेंट्स, जो मिनरल्स चाहिए, देयर इज फाइट, कैडमियम एंड सटल सेलेनियम, सम एस्पेक्ट्स to make such screens, because the next generation AI will work using them only. You understand? So for that to happen, that kind of a screen is chitta. उसके अंदर क्या है तो ट्रांसपेरेंट, लेकिन इसके अंदर सारा प्रोग्राम, इट कैन रिफ्लेक्ट थिंग्स, but at the same time it has its own, it has pores, it has networks and programs made up of all the vasanas that are there in you from this life and from all the past lives. तो क्या होता है कि ये जो कपड़ा है, इसको अलग अलग लाइफ में अलग अलग एक्सपीरियंसेस, अलग अलग इंप्रेशन डाल डाल के इतना डेंस उसके अंदर इंप्रेशन आ जाते हैं कि वो, उसकी एबिलिटी टू रिफ्लेक्ट पुरुषा बिकॉज ऑफ द क्लेशास दैट आर देयर बिकम्स वेरी वेरी डिफिकल्ट। तो इसको क्या करना पड़ता है ना, पतंजलि बोलता है कि इसको, ये कपड़े को आपको पकड़ के, इसको पूरा डिटर्जेंट में डाल के, इसको पूरा रगड़ के, को पूरा निचोड़ के, उसको धो के, पूरे संस्कार उसके निकाल के, उसको निकालना पड़ता है धो के, तब ये चित्ता जो है वो पुरुष को रिफ्लेक्ट करता है। दैट्स व्हाई व्हेन वी बिगिन आवर क्लास वी से योगेन चित्तस्य। मलम, 3 मल निकालते हैं पतंजलि, शरीर का मल निकालते आयुर्वेद, वाणी का मल मीन्स the way we speak, impurities are there in the speech is removed by Sanskrit, and the mala that is there in the chitta. So please understand, all of us, हमारे सबके पास एक कपड़ा है, सबके पास एक चादर है, वो किस, जिसकी चादर जितनी मैली है, उतना उसके लिए, उतना पुरुषा को रिफ्लेक्ट करना डिफिकल्ट है। उस चादर को धोना है, वो धोने के लिए पतंजलि जो है वो सबसे बड़े धोबी है। वो बोल रहे हैं कि इस चादर को धोने के लिए आपको एक पत्थर चाहिए जो स्टेबल हो, जो ना मूव हो, वो वैराग्य है। और मारने के लिए है विवेक। विवेक, ख्याति और वैराग्य, अभ्यास और वैराग्य से इस कपड़े को धोया जाता है। और यम और नियम से शुरू होता है और समाधि पे आके इसकी धुलाई का प्रोसेस है। पूरे जीवन में हमको एक ही काम करना है, अपने चित्त को धोना है, इतना क्लीन कर देना है उसको, इट बिकम सो क्लीन। यू हैव सीन, नो, इन सम मूवीज दे शो द window of the shop is so clean that when people come they hit their head. अरे दिख ही नहीं रहा है, तो स्क्रीन बिल्कुल। जब चित्ता ऐसा हो जाता है तब आप समझ लो कि कैवल्य स्थिति है। कैवल्य स्थिति तब है जब चित्ता ऐसा हो जाए कि वो है या नहीं है पता ही नहीं चलता। इस चित्ता डिसॉल्व का मतलब है कि चित्ता बिकम सो क्लीन that whether it is there or not there, it doesn't matter. It just becomes only the medium of Purusha. It means Chitta has become one with Purusha. If you say it dissolves, then your body will not remain. Your body has to disintegrate. There are two ways in which yogis have reached nirvana. One is okay, reaching this level and stopping there. Like Gautama the Buddha, he stopped there. चित्ता पूरा क्लीन हो गया, वहां रुक गया, क्योंकि उनको फिर संसार का भला करना था या कंपैशन फॉर पीपल, ही कंटिन्यूड एंड दैट स्टेट देयर। इफ आई लेट गो ऑफ दैट ऑल्सो, देयर इज ए फ्रीडम टू लेट गो ऑफ दैट ऑल्सो। ये ट्रांसपेरेंट भी क्यों चाहिए, नहीं चाहिए, फिर बॉडी नहीं रख सकते आप, फिर बॉडी गायब हो जाए। मतलब द शिव संहिता बोलती है ना, द वे द एलिमेंट केम इट गोज इन द रिवर्स। आकाशा गोज इनटू वायु, वायु इनटू अग्नि, अग्नि से जल, जल से पृथ्वी, वो उसका पूरा स्ट्रक्चर ही चला जाएगा, वो फिर पुरुष पुरुष हो गया वो। तो ये दो तरीके हैं ना, बट इन बोथ द थिंग्स द चित्त विक्षेपास हैव टू बी रिमूव्ड, चित्ता हैज टू बी क्लेंस्ड। वी आर ऑल हियर। ये पूरा साइकेट्री के जो इतने सारे पेशेंट आ रहे हैं ना, ये सब के सब में एक ही प्रॉब्लम है, उनके चित्त पे इतना मल जम गया है कि अब वो फॉरगेट अबाउट रिफ्लेक्टिंग पुरुषा, दे आर नॉट एबल टू इंटरेक्ट विद प्रकृति ओनली प्रॉपरली। अभी वो काम ही ठीक से नहीं कर पा रहे अपना। ज्यादा हो जाएगा तो यही हो जाएगा ना। सो यू what yoga adds what yoga adds into the clinical psychiatry or yoga therapy, what Patanjali gives is immensely valuable. Patanjali is telling us यार आप डिप्रेशन, एंजाइटी, स्किजोफ्रेनिया, पोस्ट ट्रोमैटिक स्ट्रेस डिसऑर्डर, सब्सटेंस यूज डिसऑर्डर, सारे जो आप जो डिसऑर्डर बोल रहे हो, ये सबको छोड़ के आप चित्त को देखना शुरू करो। हम्म, ये पेशेंट है मेरे सामने, इसके चित्त पे कौन सा कलर भरा हुआ है, कौन सी वृत्ति ज्यादा फ्लक्चुएट कर रही है इसमें। हम्म, इसकी ये वाली वृत्ति जो है इस पर्सन में, इसका चित्त जो है शांत नहीं है, चित्त निरोध नहीं हुआ इसका। क्यों? क्योंकि चित्त जो है वो क्लीन नहीं है, शुद्धि नहीं हुआ है, चित्त शुद्धि नहीं हुआ है। तो चित्त शुद्धि नहीं हुआ है, इसके कारण वृत्ति ज्यादा है। कौन सी वृत्ति ज्यादा है पहले वो देखो। स्मृति ज्यादा है, विपर्यय ज्यादा है, विकल्प ज्यादा है, निद्रा ज्यादा है। हर एक वृत्ति के बढ़ने का कारण है चित्त अशुद्धि। उस अशुद्धि का कारण है क्लेश। हम्म, क्लेश तनु करना है, विवेक ख्याति करना है, समाधि भावना बढ़ाना है। विवेक ख्याति, समाधि भावना इज द वे टू ब्रिंग चित्त शुद्धि। फॉर दैट आई प्रिस्क्राइब हिम यमा नियमा। कुछ ना कुछ यम और नियम को ब्रेक कर रहा है, इसीलिए चित्त की अशुद्धि हो रही है, इसीलिए क्लेशा बढ़ रहा है। तो कौन सा यम ब्रेक कर रहा है, कौन सा यम ब्रेक कर रहा है, कौन सा नियम फॉलो नहीं कर रहा है। सी एवरीबडी, यमा कैन सर्व एज योर वीकनेस। आई वॉन्ट टू टेल ट्रूथ, आई कांट। आई वॉन्ट टू बी नॉन वायलेंट, आई कांट कंट्रोल माई एंगर। I want to control my senses, but I can't control my brahmacharya. Gone. Hmm? I don't want to be possessive, but I end up being possessive. I don't want to steal, but I end up stealing. So these are my weaknesses. It is here that I create such impressions on my chitta which take the purusha away from it. देन ये तो हो गया दाग लगने से बचाओ। कपड़े को अगर आपको संभालना है, दो काम करने पड़ेंगे। क्लीन करने के लिए क्या करना पड़ेगा? एक, इसको धो। दूसरा, तुम धोते भी जा रहे हो और धूल भी फेंकते जा रहे हो तो क्या होगा? दाग लगने से बचाओ तो यमा फॉलो करो, और धोने के लिए नियमा फॉलो करो। धोने के लिए तप, स्वाध्याय, ईश्वर प्रणिधान, होल हार्टेड प्रेयर, संतोषा, शौचा, टेक बाथ, keep everything clean. That also cleanse chitta in a way. So niyamas are to clean, yamas are to prevent further dust from falling onto chitta. फिर वो थोड़ा सा स्टेबल आ गया तो देन यू कैन गो फॉर डीपर क्लिंजिंग, आसना, प्राणायाम, प्रत्याहार, धारणा, ध्यान. ध्यान इज यूजिंग द चित्ता इटसेल्फ टू क्लीन इटसेल्फ. फिर वो खुद ही अपने आप को रगड़ना शुरू करता है, बिकॉज द सेल्फ अवेयरनेस कंपोनेंट स्टार्ट्स रिफ्लेक्टिंग ऑन द चित्ता. Before that, you use your behavioral means, your body, your breath, your mind to clean the chitta. But in the Antaranga Yoga, you start using the chitta to clean itself. पहले इनडायरेक्टली क्लीन करो, बाद में डायरेक्टली क्लीन करो. करेक्ट? फिर जब चित्ता पूरा क्लीन हो जाएगा तो पतंजलि सेज कि इट हैज द पोटेंशियल टू परसीव ऑल द ऑब्जेक्ट्स इंक्लूडिंग द पुरुष. तद संख्येय वासनाभिः चित्रमपि परार्थम संहत्यकारिता. Though chitta is filled with limitless impressions, vasana, still it works in coordination with other faculties for purusha only. So that is what I was telling. Though this is a transparent cloth, it has infinite subtle networks within it which are not perceivable. They are all vasanas. Asankhya vasana. Patanjali says asankhya. You can't even count. आपके चित्त में लेटेंट इंप्रेशन कितने हैं आप, it goes like infinite, because the journey of the soul is also anaditvam, बहुत पुराण है. So असंख्य वासना भी चित्रमपि, all those are there. Still the primary function of the chitta is not for prakriti, it is for purusha only. It is for purusha only that chitta is interested in reflecting prakriti. You understand? Why? Because chitta is a servant of purusha. If there is the reflection of purusha that has to happen on chitta is obstructed by the vasanas in chitta. देखिए, all of us can decide like Gautama the Buddha. Today there is a neem people tree behind. Nandini says, I will sit below that people tree and will not get up till I get bodhi. Then it will become Nandini Bodhi tree. बराबर? She goes and sits there. ऐसे गौतम बुद्ध की तरह लगा के बैठ गई. बराबर? Then she says, only thing that I am going to do is become self-aware. Whatever that has a nature of coming and going, I will say, Neti. I am not this. जो भी आता है और जाता है, नंदिनी क्या बोलेगी? I am not this. This doesn't belong to me. And then she will ask herself, who am I? Then her self-awareness will grow. And slowly, Prakriti will start losing the grip on her chitta. Correct? This will go on for 30 minutes. Then she will use her Atma Bala. This will go on for 1 hour. Then her body will pain. Then she will say, this sensation of pain which is arising in my body is not me. It is also of the nature of coming and going. It belongs to Prakriti. This pain doesn't belong to me. With this Viveka, she is able to reach 1.5 hours. Hmm? Then what will happen? You only have to tell what will happen after. What will happen after that? What will happen after that?
Gunas will thin out.
Gunas will thin out. Huh?
Gunatita will come.
Gunatita sthiti will come off. Then her deeper vasanas, what are there in her chittas, will start coming up with lot of force. First, body will draw attention, physical sensations will draw. Then deeper vasanas will come. Doubt will come. Really, do I want to achieve moksha now? Better do PhD first. Her family will come. Relationships will come. It is not for the first time that she's having this pull, thousands of lives, this moha, family, name, fame, pratishtha. Their impression is very deep. So one doubt will come. Sitting here under the tree, is it the right thing now? Is it the right time? So she's not moved by her physical sensation, discomfort and all, but her own samshaya. Now what Patanjali talks about antarayas, no? 9 obstacles. Vyadhi, styan, alasya, samshaya. Samshaya kills, doesn't allow the sadhaka to sit long. So in this samshaya didn't come from outside. Nobody came and told her. It's her vasana didn't allow her to continue. So lot of us have this fire within us. We want to know ourselves. But then these antarayas, these samskaras, the vasanas, they pull us. So he says that still, carrying all these vasanas, doing all this, chitta is basically serving Purusha only, because whatever chitta reflects, it offers it to Purusha. So this is what we have reached toward the end. There are total, I think, 31, 34 sutras in this chapter. 10 more are there that we will continue in the next class. Anybody, any question on this?
As we are discussing, it is just awareness. It is not over the experience. If we go through Upanishads and all, where Purusha is described as very powerful. By knowing it, nothing remains to be known. So just by knowing that awareness, how
Everybody understood his question? He says, according to Patanjali, now what we are discussing, Purusha is awareness, self-awareness. Whereas Upanishad describe Purusha to be very powerful, by knowing that nothing else needs to be known. So he says, just by awareness, how will we know everything? Anybody wants to answer this? Yes.
Purusha is not the individualized concept. Purusha is all connected together. If I know my Purusha, through which we can know everything else.
See, when you say Sat, Chit and Ananda, Sat is existence, ever existent. Something is ever existent. Can you imagine this? Go back in time as long as you can go. This thing is there. Go forward as much as you can go. This thing is there. Is it not powerful? Beyond time. Time cannot touch. Mahakal. Kal ka bhi kal. Hmm? So one is you have got freedom from time. This itself is a huge thing. Second, awareness. Awareness is what? If I want to know anything, I have to become aware of it. Correct? So, as she correctly said, that after time, it is the space, not limited by space also. This awareness is not limited by space also. It means what? This vast universe everywhere, everywhere beyond time, everywhere beyond time, and self aware. It means Krishna would say that जो चींटी चलती है ना, द एंट दैट वॉक्स, उसके जो पैरों के जो स्टेप्स होते हैं वो भी कृष्णा को सुनाई देते, ऐसा says ants footsteps also I can hear. If you are able to establish yourself in Purusha, wherever you put your little attention, that thing starts revealing everything to you. सब कुछ बताएगी वो, एंट भी आपकी पूरे की पूरी वो अपनी कहानी बता देगी आपको. A very interesting story. Krishna and Arjuna were sitting, and one small ant आता है ना, वो बड़ा वाला ब्लैक वाला, with one leg broken. It was carrying a cube of some jaggery or something, sugar ऐसा लेके बड़ी मुश्किल से बहुत एफर्ट लेके वो जा रहा था. It was falling again, it was picking it up, going with three legs. So Arjuna was very curious. So Arjuna Krishna को बोलता है कि Krishna, in your सृष्टि you say that this consciousness is there, everything is taken care. Will your compassion ever fall on this creature also? Krishna tells in Bhagavad Gita also. बहूनि मे व्यतीतानि जन्मानि तव चार्जुन तान्यहम वेत्थ सर्वाणि न त्वम वेत्थ परंतप. इतने जन्म हो चुके हैं सारे प्राणियों के इस दुनिया में, तो तुमको नहीं पता है, मुझे सबके सारे जन्म पता है. सबके सारे जन्म किसको पता है? कृष्णा को पता है. तो कृष्ण उसको क्या बोलते मालूम है? अर्जुन तुमको पता नहीं है, ये जो एंट है, ये जो कीड़ा है, ये 6 बार इंद्र बन चुका है. क्या बन चुका है? 6 times in this सृष्टि काला this has become Indra. Time, space, awareness is very powerful. Everything is known. Just comes to you. You don't have to even put any effort. Just see. How did Krishna know that? Just Arjuna brought his attention to the ant. उसको देखते ही उसकी पूरी कहानी उसके चित्त पे खड़ी हुई. ये पुरुष में स्थित है यार. एफर्टलेसली वो होता है. स्मॉल स्मॉल डिवाइसेस यू पुट एनीथिंग, तो वो पूरी उसकी इंफॉर्मेशन दे देता है. इस तरीके का उसका चित्त पूरे तरीके से पुरुष से एक होता है. Whatever you put little thing starts revealing everything effortless. Everything. उसको हेलीकॉप्टर में बिठाएंगे तो उसको चला डालेगा, उड़ा देगा उसको, कुछ भी कर देगा. ठीक है. ओके. यस.
I like it's the Purusha.
हम्म.
So, like Patanjali mentioned that it would be an absurd and there would be an endless absurd progressions of cognitions. This finally we wanted to say that there is only one Purusha.
Yes.
Are
Yes.
in Vedanta, it's like there are all of us are Purusha, but we have forgotten ourselves. Like when they mention, like there are, all of us are consciousness, but we have forgotten ourselves. And here he says that there is only one consciousness, and we don't, we are not able to connect with it. That's why we are here, right? So like the controversy, like Patanjali put that there is only one, and then there the Vedanta says that there is endless Purusha. So
एंडलेस पुरुष कहाँ बोला? जीवात्मा एंड परमात्मा, आर यू कंफ्यूज्ड? Patanjali's Purusha is Ishvara only, Paramatma only. No, so वो क्लेश कर्म विपाक अपरामृष्ट पुरुष विशेषः ईश्वरः. So here the you can understand it by one example. Say there is a pot. There is a air within the pot. There is space. There is space within the pot. There is space outside the pot. Space within the pot. The pot can say that it is a space within me. It is my space. Cannot the pot say? Pot can say. But if the pot is broken, would you say that the space of the pot mixed with the space outside? Air नहीं, space. पॉट के अंदर का स्पेस, पॉट के जो मटेरियल है उसके मॉलिक्यूल्स के बीच का स्पेस और आउटसाइड स्पेस एक ही स्पेस. फॉर स्पेस यू कैनॉट से दिस स्पेस एंड दैट स्पेस, देयर इज ओनली वन स्पेस. जब तक पॉट है तब तक पॉट का स्पेस, पॉट नहीं है तो बस स्पेस. Because we are bound by Prakriti, we feel this is my Jivatma. When that bondage is broken, Jivatma is Paramatma. There is no difference. The space is everywhere space. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. Namaste.